Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Also,
Yes, sir.
I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
mute everyone, but please do feel free to activate your microphone when you need to talk. Okay. So what we're going to do today is two things. One, please, as I said, there's a lot of self-learning. It's very important. And Draman, I would like to set up additional meeting for next week, as we did this week. There is a very important topic called Panda. We learn about NumPy, it's a must. NumPy is a must. Panda is also. But I did also recording for this website. In fact, you have all this. This is not mine, I didn't do it. But I think this is an excellent tutorial for you. Excellent one. In addition, if you go to the website here, you go into the introductions to the topics. Here I put a lot of videos that I recorded, and they're excellent, okay? So you have, which one? This one. If you look at this one, I recorded about NumPy. Okay, this one we learned last time. What did I do? Where did I put it? I got lost. Anybody? Where is it? I lost. Where did it go? No. This one. Hold a second. Let me make it big. This one we studied part of it, but then the next part I focus on Panda. If you remember this stuff we did, hold a second. I'm trying to see which one. No, this is one we did already. Yeah, this one we covered. Hold it, bear with me a second. Okay, this one I think, this is the one that I skipped and I'm counting on you guys to do. My son would go over that with you guys on this week, additional session. Okay, this one, the second part, it deals with this part I'm going to go with you today, but this one, as you see, is really going over this website that I just showed you. Okay, this is, here we go. You see that? Okay, so I would like to set up Draman another session during the week. I don't want to spend the time of my time, and my son would go. I hope you like him. I like him.
Okay, the second one,
okay,
is extremely important. It's called NumPy.
okay, and the Panda, that's what we do in this one. And please do go over it. It's excellent tutorial. You can watch the video here. I go over a lot of the stuff in the recording. In addition, my son will do a review with you on this material. This is excellent tutorial, excellent. By the way, okay, it's hard to practice it because you don't have the tables, but you can really understand the ideas. You don't really need to. Please do watch that video. And be ready for the session with Hanor. Okay, Draman, is that good? Okay. Can you hear me, Draman? It's this one. I'm not going to redo this one. I'm just going to, in fact, the beginning of it, I'm going to go over and I want to spend more time on that, more than I have in the recording. Okay? Draman, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you will set up a time that's convenient for everyone, and Hanoch will go over that tutorial with them as he did with the NumPy. I think it's very important. Okay, so, but don't worry, a lot of the material in the tutorial I'm using. So I will talk about it as we see real life example in machine learning. Okay, so let's start what I want to do today. Today we're going, and that's answering several questions. Not so, was it, who was it? If I recall, Wasn't it, Sergey? Is that right? You ask why we're not using Anaconda. We're using PyCharm. Here with the answer. Look at the beauty. In Anaconda and Jupyter, you will not be able to build up a framework. And what do I mean by that? Today, we have a whole application. We call it a core. We didn't have this application. It's the one that I recommend to everyone developing any application, any project. Always have a core application. In the core, you put the important things that you're going to use everywhere. Let me run this one first, and I will motivate the whole discussion. I'm typing Python, manage, that you learn from software engineering, and run server, and I'm running it. By the way, as you notice, the machine learning projects takes a little more time and has 2 more commands here that it does than the software engineering. Is just much heavier. It has much more libraries. Okay, so I'm getting in. We're having this one very similar to the one you saw in software engineering. And now I log in, like the other one, log in. This is really not really, this is software engineering. Now the game starts. I'm clicking here and I'm getting a menu. You already know how to make that menu. You have learned it in software engineering. I'm going to go to chapter 1. I get a menu. By the way, I will give it to you as an exercise to remove that. Let's see who knows how to. It shouldn't be here really when I go to chapter 1. Let's see who can do it. Okay, and I will show you later on if you have a trouble. But let me go to the first one and I click on plot. And it's cooking, bingo, I got a plot. But the data came from somewhere. So the data, it's sitting somewhere. I pulled the data and I made a plot. By the way, the tutorial I talked about, this one, teaching you here toward the end how to do plotting. We will do a lot of plotting, okay? And whoever wants to specialize, by the way, this is different types of plotting, okay? Usually in software engineers, I don't teach this plotting. It's really designed for machine learning. They don't need it. After you do the job, you just ask them, please, can you put it for me? And I will show you how you do it. There's many ways you can do it, okay? This is nice plotting, very useful for analysis. Business people like it. They like to get those type and much more sophisticated than that. So this is you do during the week with Hanoch. It will go over, but we will go and see those type of plotting, okay? I want to focus on something else today. Let's see another example. I will jump overfeeding. We'll learn eventually what overfeeding means. We're getting some analysis and blah. How do I make it? How does it do it? That's what we'll learn. But where is the beautiful things when you do know programming at a very high level of Python? I'm going back to here and say I have chapter 1. I'll go to chapter 2. If I go to chapter 2, I get the data. By the way, it takes a little time. Here we go. It did it so fast. I get a table. You see that? By the way, this came from the internet. What makes it so special, and that's what we're going to do today, that all those chapters are using very similar structure. So chapter 1, chapter 2, although it's totally different topics, different menu, you see each chapter is a different menu. We're going to cover all of those, but all of them using a special object I created for machine learning. And I really hope you will study it carefully. And that object, I put in a special application called core. And in the core, after I finished it, by the way, the object is sitting right here. We're going to go over it. And from this one, I created other objects, each one for each chapter, and we go over that as well. There's a lot of libraries here, things you haven't seen in software engineering. matplotlib, you will see it in the tutorial with Hanor. It will talk about it, okay? Then you see here the NumPy. You see the Panda, things we talked. We don't use them in software engineering, only in machine learning. So this is really special library that I built. And Jupyter, you can't really do it. It will be cumbersome. You can't really call a library. You don't have the tools to link to it. Here you have all the tools how to link it together. And moreover, you will link it in such a way you really know how to get eventually, or actually really, to a real application. This is a real application. Okay, so let's start. We would like to learn today an object for machine learning. What do we want from that object to do? That object is supposed to be able to, let's say when I click here and I want to make a plot, it will be able to make a plot. By the way, I click on the second one, it runs an algorithm. He knows how to do it. He tells me it's successful. Hey, by the way, and that's the beautiful in the way we're studying. If you go here bottom, you'll see all the analysis done. And I will go over that with you. This is professional way of studying, okay? You can do it in Jupyter, but you don't see the whole picture in Jupyter. You see pieces. Here you see the whole picture. And that's why we're doing it in the real way, like a professional. By the way, this is really everyone that you click here, everyone here, let's go to overfitting. I showed it to you, okay? This is running. It's giving me the result. And if you look here, you see exactly how I did it. The whole things. And we'll see what the code is that did the work. And that's the way you eventually, the user only care about this image. It doesn't care what you do behind the screen. And you want to know how to do it behind the screen and present it to the user. Okay, let's start. So I said all the chapters, okay? We have 3 chapters in Certificate 2, Machine Learning. We're gonna cover all the 3. I will expose you to projects. We have also projects. By the way, those are beautiful projects. This is a beautiful project, okay? Getting data, how do I get the data, and how we analyze. By the way, this is such an important one that this lady, when she analyzed the data, she made so many mistakes, by the way. Let me see this. I hope there's no error. If there is, I will fix it. Okay, yeah, it seems like it does. I will fix it, don't worry. We'll get to that. Then is a zigzag method, correlation. We'll go into that. When we get there, I will deal with it. Project number 2 is very advanced, very, very advanced. By the way, if I go here, this one I will show when we get there, I will explain. I don't want to run it, but I can click on S&P, look what happened. It's empty. If it's empty, I can go here and update symbols for S&P. Let's see what happened. By the way, if you go here, you see it's working and cooking. It did all the work. I go back. Oh, it gave me all the list of all the companies traded in the stock exchange. Okay, this is special things for people that do machine learning. How do I do it? How do I collect data from the internet? This is from Yahoo Finance. I click on Apple. By the way, that will take a little time. I won't run it because when I click on it, it's going to download the whole data and it's going to do some very advanced algorithm. So it takes them a little time. I usually demonstrate it on my other computer, which is designed for machine learning. Okay, just running very deep learning algorithm. So I will keep on that. When you click here, I will show it to you later on. Okay, you know what? I will click on it anyway. Okay, it will take some time to run. You can see behind the screen what's happening. Let me start all over. Control C. I'm not sure I want to run it. It takes a little time to run. It It's using TensorFlow and it's very heavy. Let me refresh that screen. Let me go to here. Let's go click on S&P. By the way, it keeps the whole data inside the, it keeps all the data in a database, and we go over it as we get there. I just demonstrating where we're going to. And when I click here, it's running an algorithm, okay? And I will check, make sure that it's running. And the way you check it, by the way, it does have an error. I need to check it. I will check the error and we'll fix it together. So don't worry about it, okay? I will demonstrate it later on and I will fix the error as we go along. But this is a beautiful project on how to forecast prices of stock. And we get there, don't worry. Okay, but we have to start somewhere. And starting, it's building up, and that's what we're doing today, a special object for any type of machine learning study, a general one. And then as we go to chapter 1, we modify it. We go to chapter 2, we use the same things but modify it. We do the same thing for chapter 3, for project 1, project 2. By the way, this is a gold project, another project. Also, we use the same object. So today I would like to go over that object. So here we go, I'm going here. And I'm going to core. We always add application called core. Remember, as we studied in software engineering, we can build up an application by the command start application. Remember, start app, and then you write core, and then you're building up a core from scratch. But I already did it for you. You don't need to do it. You already have it, and you have it on your computer. Okay, and later on, not today, but next week, I would like to have you guys work on your computer and I demonstrate to everyone. Today I will do it for my computer, okay? You have already this library and that application. Under it, it's very similar to all the other applications you know. Introductions to machine learning has the same structure. The main has same structure. So there are 3 applications here and they are all integrated. And we learned that in software engineering. Today, we're going to focus first on this application called core. I did a lot of stuff in the core, by the way. In the core, there's a lot of stuff that I added, very special. By the way, first of all, we have a special file called utilities. Okay? These utilities, when I double click, you get an object, a special object that I created called algo, for algorithm. Now, if you remember, we learned object classes in Python. And if you review the stuff that we did the last few times, we did the class of animal, and from animal, we made the cat and human. Now, what I'm doing now, I'm doing an object called algo. This is going to be my basis class, basis object. And after I finish it, and there's a big one, and you will see we'll go over all of that, a lot of them. Some of them I give you as an exercise. After I get this object, it becomes to be like a gold. So important. Why? When I talk about chapter 1, look at that. I go to chapter 1, it's still in the core. I go to chapter 1, I double click. I bring from utilities, import algo. What is utilities? Hey, this is exactly this file. Is that right? So I tell him from the same directory that chapter 1 is in, look at the same directory, that's why I have the dot. Bring over here, import the object algo. Yeah, this is the object algo. I defined it here. Very important. Then, why so important object? Because if I go to chapter 2, same things. From utilities, import algo. And from algo, I make algo 2 for chapter 2. And I make algo 1 for chapter 1. But both of them inherit from the same object, just like we did with the animal. We had a cat, we had a dog, we have a human. Remember that? We're actually using it here. So I didn't just teach it to you for nothing. It's very important. Very good design. Same things for chapter 3. Look at that. Same thing. Chapter 3 is more heavy. It has other things. But here we go. Hey, how about a project? We're making a project. Project number 1. Double click. Same things. Inheriting from Algo. I call it Algo P1 for project 1. Later on, I'm going to use this one for the project. I'm going to use this one for chapter 1. How do I use it? Let's look at that, close the circle before we continue. Because you really want to see the big picture, not just be technician. Okay, let's look at chapter 1. I define chapter 1 to be inheriting from Algo. And today I'm going to talk about Algo. And later on, when I'm going to deal with the application, I have the introduction machine learning application. And here in the views, as you will see, I will go to the views. And in the views, there's a beautiful structure. But one thing's very important. Look at this one. Look at the first line. 2 dots, it takes me up 2 levels from introductions to machine learning, takes me to the apps, and then it goes to the core. That's the core. And then it goes to chapter 1. You see that? So in here, I'm bringing the Algo 1. You see that? And I'm going to use Algo 1 inside the application of introductions to machine learning. You cannot do it in Jupyter. Take my word for it. No way. You lose your head in Jupyter. Jupyter designed for teaching you a language, let's say Python, what we already have done. But we use that simple editor, which I really liked. It's thankful to those wonderful people that doing things and putting online. But now it's the professional. This is professional. Okay, now that I bring Algo 1, I want to use it. Why do I use it? Let's go down. We will learn, we'll go over all of that. We go down, we go down. By the way, this is very beautiful structure. Chapter 1, chapter 1. Here we go, look at this line. Such a simple line become to be. I'm creating the object Algo 1. And when I create it, Algo becomes to be Algo 1 for chapter 1. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use Algo. You see here, it has a special function called sample data.plot. It's going to plot something. He already, by creating this one, he already got the data. He organized the data for me. Who did it? Algo 1. And Algo 1 is based on Algo. And he knows how to organize already the data for chapter 1. And that's what we'll see as we go along. This is beautiful structure. Let's go to chapter 2. You will see in chapter 2. Hey, some things. Now this becomes to be really nice. In chapter 2, I'm using an object Algo 2, and I call it Algo, the same things. It can do a lot of things of manipulating the data for chapter 2, organizing it, and then I can add a lot of things. By the way, I did a lot of comment for you. We're using the housing data. We're seeing California. This is beautiful. And then, by the way, this is a beautiful structure. By the way, if you look good, let's look at it for a second so you will see how nicely it's organized. When I go to chapter 2, did I stop it? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Let me run the server again. Yeah, here we go. I'm in chapter 2. I click here. There's a list. get data. I click here, I get the data. Now you can understand what we did and we go deeper into it. If you look at here, what is the get data? You can see here, get data. You see that? We'll go over there, don't worry. Get data, it eventually come to here. And it really has in algo data, it really is already cooked. By writing this one, he already downloaded the data, organized it nicely. And then all what I had to do is bring the data that exists inside the object. And I just tell him, show it to me, by the way. This one here, don't worry, if you don't understand everything I'm talking, it will be clearer as we go along. This is just to motivate the structure. Look at what I get here. Here I did, you know, housing head 20. By the way, if you have a good eye, this is exactly what I wrote here. And then I printed the data frame. This is really Panda. So it's giving me only 20 rows. You see that? There's only 20 rows. He showed it to me here. But also I asked him to give me some statistics. This is something you go over with Hanoch. It will teach you what the info does. And in fact, you can see immediately here, it gives me some statistics. Okay, some basic data on it. Okay, it has all those variables, and it gives me that there are 20,640 items that are all null. There's no null data. And we talk about it as we go along. But the beautiful part, and the most important is, I'm starting with algo. And this is the element that does all the work, the hard work. Okay, and we will see. And then eventually just really sending it to render, as we studied in software engineering. He's sending the title, he's sending, by the way, you see algo data head 20, like it's printed it here. He's sending it to this, by the way, it's sending it to this template. Okay, let's look at that template. Okay, that template, if I go there, that's I have to go to the templates. I go to the intro. I go to chapter 2, by the way. Chapter 2, there is a template called Get Data HTML. What is that? Get Data HTML. Double click. Here we go. It's so simple. My God. Look how simple it is. In fact, data frame has a special function called toHTML. And this is really does the table that you see here. This is this table. We'll go over it. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry. It does this beautiful table. We will see it, how you can do it in many ways. But this is such a simple one line. Does all the work. This is called being smart. Then I want to see frequency. What is this one? Okay, if you look at here, since you took software engineering, you can tell, say, here we go, frequency for, and then this is the holy command. I have FRQ to HTML, Save, we'll talk about it, and he makes the other table. By the way, what is FRQ? I go to the view, and what is FRQ? It's a data frame of the housing. It's taking only one column, and we talk about it. It takes the count of that makes the frequency. You will learn that with Hanoch, okay? It will teach you that part. And then I transfer it to this template at beautiful, and I'm getting the result so nicely here. And the same things about this one. We talk about some statistical element. We get there. Okay, that's not the topic of today. In fact, none of that is the topic of today. Just initiate the idea, all chapters, projects, all inherent from a very important object called algo. And the algo we define in the core application, in the utilities. So that's the topic of today. What do we have there? First of all, this is the way we define, by the way, any questions so far before I start? This is really motivating why we need these special basic object. Any questions, guys? It will get clearer, don't worry, like everything's in life.
Yeah.
Like when you get married, you think you know your wife. After 20 years, you know her very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. Go
Yes.
ahead.
So if I just understood what you said, like algo is like where you write all the whatever you need
All the
to
basic ones, all the
all
basic structure.
for the data.
Exactly.
So if I want to if I want any statistics, then I need to write on that algo.
What you will do, very good question. Like, let's look at chapter 1. Okay? I'm using everything I define in algo because I'm inheriting from algo, but I'm making changes. By the way, I added another function, very important function. We talk about it. To prepare the data for statistics analysis of GDP per capita and all of that. This one, it's unique to chapter 1. So I don't put it in an algo. I
So
will,
what I'm saying that data can be different and
very good. So here we go.
be objective.
Here we go. I
Or
want to use your idea. Hold a second. And you're taking really right. The first things I want to talk about. In algo, I have a constructor, as we studied, the init function. And I'm telling him, I'm giving him the chapter. I'm giving him the path to the data. And I'm telling him what the target is. We will learn all that stuff. But eventually, it has a lot of function here. I'm going to go over that. And where is he supposed to put the data? So I'm building up what is called the projects root directory. This is defined in the algo. Moreover, let's go more. Then I have the data. It's none. I defined the variable called data, but I didn't put anything there. So algo is going to do all this function on a variable called data, but I didn't define the data here. You see, it's empty. Where am I going to define it? It's here. I inherit from here, and we're going to talk about this function called read CSV, which is really like read Excel. This is like Excel file. He's going to read it. He's going to read another one, and then he's going to call a special function. Okay? By the way, if you have a good eye, full country stat, this is really using, there's a special function here that we created for this chapter. It doesn't exist in algo, it's only on algo 1 going to be. And in fact, it's this function. You see that? So this is preparing the data for chapter 1 because algo 1 is not defining the data for chapter 1, it's defining the framework. When you put the data there, he knows what to do with it. But where do you define the data in algo 1? Same things for chapter 2. Let's look at chapter 2, very similar structure. I define algo 2 goes for algo. Fair enough? And then we say, oh, we're getting all this stuff, and that's going to, and I'm going to go over that in a minute, okay? And by the way, this is even more sophisticated. This is downloading data from the internet, is unzipping it because it's a zip format. And when he's finishing, he calls the function load CSV data. Who defined this function? This function was defined in algo. Let's look at it, okay? Don't worry, I'm going all over the place, but this is so important. This function, for example, was defined in algo. Let's find it. I'm going to the utilities, Control F, Control V, and oh, here it is. It was defined in algo. This is the right place to define it. Am I right? Why? Because each of them can use how to load data from Excel. I don't need to write it for every chapter. I want to write it one time and use it if I need it in any chapter. You got it? So what does it do? All what I give it,
Hello,
see, this is
Hello?
so beautiful. All what I give it, if you look at this function, it's such a beautiful, he already knows that I am in chapter 2. In chapter, which chapter I am? Chapter, let's say if I'm in chapter 2. So when I call this one, I already built up, when I did algo 2, he already know that I'm in chapter 2 because this is what I put inside here. We'll go over there, don't worry. Chapter ID, it's chapter 2. Okay, so he's keeping it inside. So when I go to this function, he's very smart, and he said, okay, I know where you want me to put the data. Okay, I'm where you put the data. So which file you want me to take? It takes this file. So let's look at chapter 2. Which file I want you to use? Housing. Okay, I use housing. I'm going to go over where you put all your data. I'm going to use the housing.excel because it's an Excel file. Okay, so this is the Excel pegged to the housing Excel. Now he's very smart. He's using this PDF read Excel. This is a function of Panda. He's reading and he put it in the data. You got it? Who has this variable? Who defined that variable? Who defined it? HTML, here it's defined right here. Here, but here when I created it, it was empty. You see that? It was empty. But after calling it from chapter 2, after this command, it's already filled. It's not empty anymore. It's including the data from the Excel of the housing. Don't worry, it's very complex, sophisticated, but it will be clear and you will fall in love with it. You take my word for it. Okay? This is smart way of doing machine learning. Okay? And you have to be smart. You have no choice. You have to be smart because otherwise you kill yourself. It's so sophisticated and complex. But we will go step by step. All what I did now, see how elegant became to be the code for chapter 2 to begin. It's very smart. It's inheriting from algo. And when he's inheriting from algo, I'm putting some parameters. I tell him the chapter ID. This is the chapter ID. I tell him the path to the data, it's housing. We'll see in a minute. And I tell him also target field in algorithms that we're going to use is going to be the median house value. By the way, this is a column in the data. Later on, it will be clear. For now, it doesn't make any sense. The beautiful part, after he's creating the algo 2, is calling the algo, is creating the algo, and then I define here, by the way, a path to that one. Then I say, if not, if the field is not exist, then if you didn't download, see, this is even smart. It says, if you can't find the path, if you can't find this file, please download it from the internet. It's going to the internet and downloading it. And by the way, it's downloading a zip file. Hey, this is another function. Who defined that function? This function was defined in the algo. He downloads from the internet a zip file and he open it and make it as an Excel file. By the way, if you want to see, you have the statics. It's smart enough and we'll get there, don't worry. It goes to here, it goes to here, it goes to the data, and see how nicely it has a data set, and see how beautiful. It has all the chapters. So if I go to chapter 2, hey, here is the table. Here is the file. What is file? By the way, let me delete it. I'm going to delete it, okay? Just to demonstrate. The file is gone. Now, how do I get it back?
Hello?
Here. Let me refresh.
Oui.
Hello, doctor.
Oui.
I go to chapter 2. I go to here and I click get data. It's creating that one. Oh, bingo, the data is here. See how quick he did it. But how did he do it? By the way, if I go here, you see the file is here back. It came from the internet. He did all the work and put it in the right place. That's beautiful. And all done in such an elegant, only few lines. But that's why you work very hard on this basic algo, which has all this functionality. And that's motivate you to do it in the right way for chapter 2. Chapter 1, the data is built on two, here's chapter 1, but here we have files that are already provided you. They are in the right place. By the way, this is telling me the data is in chapter 1. And here is the files, you see, Capita and OECD 2015. This is really just those files, you see that? He's smart enough, he's reading both of them. In the algo one, because that's what we're going to use in chapter 1. And after he does that, he's calling a very special function that is specifically to process the data for chapter 1. This is a whole function we're going to go over it. He's processing the data, and then he's returning all those we learn all I, log, and everything we learn, part of which you learn with Anochon during the week. But basically, this is beautiful, very elegant. I'm using everything on algo, but dealing with the data processing that I need specifically for chapter 1. Some things for chapter 2, some things for chapter 3, by the way. Some things for chapter 3. Chapter 3, look at that, it's so beautiful. I'm not using the data at all. So it's leaving it as none, but it does have load, another special function. But I made it specially to load data, whatever we need, and we will see. We have like 70,000 pictures that we're gonna download. So we made a special function, and we're gonna call it. In fact, this one is calling this function. Okay, and then we're going to plug digits, do a lot of beautiful stuff. There are special functions for chapter 3. I don't need it in chapter 1. Okay, I need it only for chapter 3. So I put them in chapter 3, but I'm utilizing a lot of stuff I did in algo. Okay, there's a lot of function here that I use from algo. Every place you see self, it's really, here we go. This is self, it really is done in algo. Every place you see self.
Qui est en train de dormir là?
Okay, that's the structure. I hope
Doro.
in general, the big picture, you got the big picture. Now we need to dive.
Oui, allô, docteur?
Yeah,
Qui est
go
en train
ahead.
de ronfler là?
Non, c'est pas moi, hein, c'est pas moi.
Mais c'est qui?
Ça doit être quelqu'un d'autre. Ça va être-
Il y a
ça doit être
beaucoup
Kotou à
de gens
Histoire.
qui sont connectés en dessous là.
C'est Cassie ou bien c'est qui?
Everybody got the big picture, the big picture. Okay,
No,
we
c'est
do
pas moi.
it again and again, don't worry. But
Ou bien c'est
Allô?
now
c'est
we
Toku.
dive
Allô,
in.
allô, docteur?
Ouais, Cassie.
Allô,
C'est
docteur?
Toku?
Pourquoi ils utilisent ça moi? Non, c'est pas moi.
Mais c'est quoi? C'est Franck?
Peut-être.
Quelqu'un est en train de
Allô,
ronfler là,
allô,
c'est qui?
docteur?
Oui, allô?
Allô, docteur?
Oui, allô?
Oui, en fait, je voulais poser une question, quoi, à docteur Amos, quoi.
Ah,
Voilà. En fait, je voulais savoir, en fait, pour ce, tu sais, tout à l'heure, dans l'explication,
ah.
j'ai cru voir des noms des villes américaines dans le programme. À supposer qu'on a des grandes bases de données à analyser.
Mhm.
Le principe, comment, c'est-à-dire comment faire pour analyser ça, ces bases de données, c'est-à-dire où on peut rentrer facilement pour pouvoir analyser ces bases de données rapidement. Parce que tout ce qu'il est en train d'expliquer là, c'est vrai, bon, c'est des explications, mais nous, c'est-à-dire quand tu as une base de données dans l'immédiat, là, comment tu fais pour analyser, puis aboutir à un résultat vraiment.
Oui, mais c'est ce qu'il est en train d'expliquer.
Je peux intervenir?
ce qu'il est en train d'expliquer.
Allô?
Oui.
Allô?
Oui, oui.
Algo,
Oui,
donc,
en fait-
juste faire un résumé.
Do,
Ok, d'accord.
On a créé Algo.
do,
Oui,
Algo,
oui,
c'est
oui.
toute la base. Algo, c'est l'ensemble de toutes les analyses statistiques que tu veux faire avec ta base de données, quelle que soit là où elle vient.
D'accord.
Donc, tu construis d'abord je veux dire, ce cadre d'analyse-là. Si tu veux regarder les fréquences, si tu veux regarder je sais pas, les probabilités, si tu veux regarder, en fonction de l'analyse que tu vas faire, tu crées d'abord cette base qu'on appelle algo, c'est-à-dire la base d'analyse.
D'accord.
Maintenant, à partir de cette base d'analyse-là, tu appelles maintenant ta base de données là où elle se trouve. Donc,
D'accord. Mais la base, mais docteur, excusez-moi, la base, alcool, on crée ça où dans les
non, mais c'est ce
différents.
qu'il est, non, mais c'est ce qu'il est en train de te montrer, c'est dans Utility. Tu vas et toi-même, tu écris la base algo. Qu'est-ce que tu veux analyser dans les données que tu as là? Tu veux analyser quoi?
D'accord.
C'est toi-même qui écris. Donc, lui te montre un peu par rapport au cours qu'il est en train de faire les différents chapitres. Voilà ce qu'il va analyser, le chapitre 1, chapitre 2, chapitre 3. Voilà ce qu'il va analyser. Donc, il crée pour algo, il crée un algo général, c'est-à-dire un cadre d'analyse générale pour toutes les données qu'il va avoir dans chaque chapitre. Et pour chaque chapitre, il applique ça à chaque chapitre et il avance en fonction des, en fonction des informations que tu vas avoir. Mais toutes ces informations doivent être stockées, toute cette base d'analyse doit être stockée quelque part pour ne pas que tu reviennes réécrire les mêmes codes pour chaque
Ah, d'accord.
analyse. Si moi je vais regarder
D'accord.
les fréquences, j'écris un algorithme qui va me permettre de regarder les fréquences, quelle que soit la base de données que je vais utiliser. Donc,
D'accord.
Algo doit être pour moi comme le cadre d'analyse. Donc, c'est ce cadre d'analyse que je dois construire d'abord.
D'accord. Ok.
Ça peut être différent. Toi, tu peux peut-être analyser, je ne sais pas, tu peux analyser, je ne sais pas quel est ton secret d'activité, mais tu peux analyser peut-être.
Bon, en fait, analyser en fait comment on appelle ça, le flux de construction d'ici peut-être dans 5 à 10 ans. En fait, faire une analyse
Voilà,
claire,
mais,
succincte sur le
voilà, mais tu
développement de
écris.
l'économie en Côte d'Ivoire d'ici
do,
dans 20 ans.
do.
Oui, oui.
Dans ce cadre-là, maintenant, tu es en train de rentrer sur la capacité de ton serveur à emmagasiner les données. Sinon, la fonction, c'est une fonction unique qu'on écrit et qui s'adapte à toutes les recherches.
Voilà, toute la base.
Pour la base. C'est dans la base que tu écris cette fonction-là. Et tu n'as pas à réécrire la fonction. En fait, l'algo, là, c'est comment tu vas transcrire ton besoin, comment tu dois transcrire en langage machine, les fonctions que tu dois écrire et que tu vas appeler à chaque fois où tu auras besoin. Tu n'auras pas besoin de venir t'asseoir pour écrire une fonction spécifique pour un besoin que tu vas faire.
C'est
Tu vois
ça.
un peu? C'est une fonction unique que tu écris. Mais quand tu vas écrire, il va falloir que tu donnes une instruction à l'ordinateur pour lui dire va chercher telle fonction à tel endroit.
C'est comme
Et c'est ça.
par exemple, si tu veux analyser l'évolution du coronavirus à Abidjan, à Yamoussoukro, à Korogo.
Voilà.
Voilà, donc tu écris un algorithme en fonction peut-être de l'âge des patients, de la taille du patient, du quartier dans lequel il vit, ainsi de suite. Donc, à Abidjan, tu auras une base de données.
Oui.
Et la même base, les mêmes variables, tu auras les mêmes variables à Yamoussoukro. Tu auras les mêmes variables à Korogo. Maintenant, si je vais analyser l'évolution du coronavirus dans les 3 villes, je crée un algorithme qui me permet, quelle que soit la ville dans laquelle comme on appelle, je suis, je prends l'algorithme et je l'applique dans toutes les différentes villes pour avoir le résultat dans toutes les différentes villes. Mais je ne vais pas aller écrire un algorithme pour Korogo, un algorithme pour Yamoussoukro, un algorithme pour Abidjan. J'écris un algorithme général et j'applique les données d'Abidjan dans l'algorithme. Je prends les données et puis je vois l'évolution à Abidjan. Je prends les données de Yamoussoukro, je l'applique dans l'algorithme. Et puis, je vois les résultats de Yamoussoukro. Je prends les données de Korogo, j'applique l'algorithme et puis je vois les résultats de Korogo. Donc, il faut écrire d'abord l'algorithme de base en fonction de ce que tu veux analyser. C'est ce qu'il a appelé algo. Maintenant, algo 1, par exemple, ça peut être Abidjan. Je prends les données d'Abidjan, c'est algo 1. Algo 2, ça peut être les données de Korogo. Algo 3, ça peut être les données de Yamoussoukro. Donc, pour chaque donnée, j'importe chaque donnée dans algo. C'est comme une machine qui va analyser. Voilà, donc à fonction de la base de données que j'ai, comme on appelle, que je vais avoir dans chaque ville, j'importe cette base de données dans le algo que j'ai écrit. Et ce algo-là me donne les résultats en fonction de la base que je lui donne. C'est comme une machine qui est là. Tu prends les données, tu mets dans la machine est déjà calibrée. Lui te donne les résultats en fonction de, comment on appelle, de la composition de la base de données. Maintenant, si tu ne construis pas la machine, comment tu peux, pour chaque base de données, tu vas construire une nouvelle machine? Ce n'est pas possible.
Oui, oui, c'est vrai, effectivement.
C'est comme quand tu vas au village que tu as une machine de décortiquer des riz. Tout est déjà calibré. Donc, quel que soit le riz que tu vas envoyer de n'importe quel champ, le premier champ s'appelle algo 1, le deuxième champ algo 2, le troisième champ algo 3. Quand tu mets dans la machine, il te donne les grains de riz décortiqués.
C'est ça, effectivement. OK.
Voilà, donc, ton objectif, c'est d'avoir des grains de riz décortiqués. Donc, tu construis ta machine en fonction de l'objectif que tu vas avoir. Maintenant, en fonction du nombre, de la qualité de riz qu'il envoie, quand tu mets dans la machine, il te donne les grains blanchis. Tu comprends?
Okay. Oui, je comprends tes seulement.
Voilà, donc tu dois écrire d'abord un seul algo pour tout ce que tu veux analyser, quelle que soit la base de données que tu veux, comme on appelle, tu vas avoir. Et ce algo-là, tu l'appliques à chaque base de données que tu vas créer, qui te donne les résultats en fonction de ce que tu as préétabli. Maintenant, si tu évolues pour d'autres analyses, tu peux évoluer aussi le algo.
Docteur, il y a un exemple simple. Il y a un exemple simple même qui est la calculatrice. La fonction est déjà intégrée, c'est déjà écrit. On sait que quand tu vas taper 1 plus 1, il doit t'afficher 2. Donc, quand tu tapes 1 plus 1, que tu sois à Yamsokro, à Boaké, partout, quand tu vas taper 1 plus 1, il va t'afficher le résultat. Et le résultat, c'est spécifié que le résultat soit sur l'écran. Et donc, quand tu tapes le résultat, ça s'affiche forcément sur l'écran. En fait, c'est toute cette programmation-là que toi, on te demande de faire. Tu dois lui dire où il doit prendre ses variables, où il doit les afficher, où il doit les stocker.
Voilà. Avant de commencer à lui donner comme on appelle, du travail à faire.
Oui.
Donc, tu construis d'abord la base. Une fois que tu as construit la base, là, et puis, dans ta base, là, tu te dis, bon, moi, je veux atteindre tel résultat. Donc, tu construis l'algorithme en fonction de le résultat que tu vas atteindre. Donc, à chaque donnée, tu appliques l'algorithme et puis tu donnes le résultat que tu vas atteindre. Maintenant, si tes objectifs évoluent, tu fais évoluer l'algorithme de base. Donc, tu peux évoluer l'algorithme de base en fonction des résultats que tu veux avoir. Peut-être que cette année, tu as regardé l'évolution du coronavirus. Donc, tu as créé un algorithme qui te permet d'analyser l'évolution du coronavirus dans les différentes villes. Après, tu as dit, bon, ok, moi j'ai vu l'évolution du coronavirus dans les villes, mais je vais ajouter le taux de mortalité par ville. Donc, en fonction de l'évolution, tu ajoutes encore dans l'algorithme de base un autre algorithme qui te permet d'analyser l'évolution du taux de mortalité. Voilà. Donc, en fonction de ce que tu veux avoir, tu construis l'algorithme de base par rapport à ça. Et maintenant, tu mets les données dedans. Tu te donnes les résultats. Tu mets les données, tu te donnes les résultats. Sinon, tu ne peux pas écrire un algorithme pour chaque situation.
Docteur, moi j'avais une autre question. C'est que, en fait, la base de données qu'on crée là, on la crée où et comment est-ce qu'elle est créée?
Non, mais une base de données là, si toi tu veux, par exemple, si toi tu es là aujourd'hui, que tu veux analyser, par exemple, je ne sais pas, tu vas dans une école et puis tu veux voir, par exemple, le taux de réussite en fonction de l'âge comment on appelle, en fonction de l'âge des enfants.
Docteur, il y a une nuance, docteur.
Oui.
La base de données, on ne la crée pas. On a déjà une base de données qui est créée, qui est la base du départ lorsqu'on installait le programme de machine learning. C'est dans cette base de données-là que toutes les informations vont aller se stocker. Par contre, ce qu'on doit définir, c'est maintenant les chemins d'accès, les informations auxquelles on veut accéder. C'est ça qu'on écrit. Et ces informations-là, le programme va aller les chercher pour venir les stocker dans la base de données.
Mais lui, il pose une question de, par exemple, si tu veux analyser les données, où tu vas avoir les données.
Oui, où tu vas avoir les données. Mais voilà, les données, c'est en ligne. Toi, tu définis la fonction qui va aller chercher ces informations-là en ligne pour venir les stocker chez toi.
Voilà, mais maintenant, si tu n'as pas ça en ligne, toi-même, tu peux créer une base de données. C'est-à-dire que tu peux, c'est comme une entreprise. Le gars, il veut voir, par exemple,
Oui,
comment on appelle, le taux d'absentéisme en fonction de l'heure d'arrivée et l'heure de départ des employés.
oui, oui.
Voilà, il peut maintenir, comment on appelle, un
Le
fichier
réseau, ça
Excel.
c'est le réseau de l'entreprise.
Voilà, pour pouvoir, quand chacun vient, il met sa date d'arrivée, quand il s'en va, il met sa date de départ.
Oui,
Donc,
oui, ça c'est
un
on
an, il peut avoir une grosse base de données.
oui, une grosse base de données locale sur laquelle on
Voilà,
peut travailler.
local.
Oui.
Voilà, donc les bases de données, c'est toi-même qui sais qu'est-ce que tu
Les
veux, où tu
informations
vas avoir tes
stockées.
données.
Oui,
Voilà, donc ça n'existe pas, ça peut exister sur Internet. Si tu veux, par
oui,
exemple, analyser l'évolution des chiffres d'affaires de Google, tu peux avoir ça sur Internet.
oui,
Voilà, mais pour un travail que toi-même tu veux faire chez toi à la maison ou bien dans ton entreprise, tu es obligé de construire des variables et de les renseigner
oui, oui, c'est ça.
avant de les importer.
C'est ça, c'est ça.
Voilà, et puis tu écris ton algo et puis tu importes tes données là dans ton algo.
Oui, c'est ça.
Voilà, donc
C'est ça.
c'est un peu, comment on appelle ce cadre-là qui est en train de nous. Qui a
C'est ça.
d'autres questions à poser?
Ok, merci.
You
Beaucoup.
want me to give you a screen share or give you a control?
No, how much is it? Okay.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Can continue.
But you know, the only person didn't understand anything, it was me. I think
Yeah,
by
of
the
course.
end of the course, you guys will learn machine learning, I will learn French. So that would be really cool. So I hope the corona will go away soon so we can meet in person. I think that would be really nice. We have done it a few times, Draman. That was really nice. I think it's, and usually when I come to Ivory Coast, I also teach a course, a complete course or most of the course. So hope to see you guys soon when the corona will be over. And I will improve my French. I will start.
Yeah.
You know, French is such a hard language. I think it's 100 times harder than machine learning, honestly. I tried to study it. It was so hard for me, my God. My son, another son, Gabriel, he loved languages. So he started studying French now, and it came naturally to him. And he can explain to me why in English they are saying it's this way, and why in French they're saying it's this way, although some word in English coming from French. And he comes so naturally, and I'm so jealous. My God, he's like very natural. Not to me, unfortunately. By the way, one of the hardest topics in machine learning, it's even really deep learning, it's analyzing meaning of a language. When you say a sentence, can a computer understand it? That's in more advanced courses, we'll get there. It's a beautiful topic. It's called NLP, Natural Language Processing. How do you process a structure of a language? I can do it with the mathematics, but it's very hard for me to learn a language, unfortunately, but it's beautiful language. Anyway, so it's clear, Draman, everything is clear. We understand.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's clear now.
Good, good. Let's go to the basic one. So let's start like, we don't know really anything. This is like a lot of libraries. I don't really care about any one of them. We'll see as we go along, we'll learn them. But the basic things is I am inheriting from object. Object is a general object in Python. Has a lot of stuff that honestly, I don't know all of them. I know a lot of them as I go along, but I don't really care. It's a good way to, when you start your own basic, inherit from object. And object, it's really part of Python. It's a good habit. Later on, you will see as you go along. Okay, so I inherit from, and the first things we learn is we have to define the constructor. This is a function that the way we build up an algo object, and it's expecting three variables: chapter ID, to data path, and target field. Three parameters. So when I'm building up, by the way, I will do it here, although this is not the right place, when I'm building up an object, I can say algo equal to algo. I will have to put 3 variables. Exactly those 3. Don't forget, the first one is just the self meaning to himself. And we went over it. But I really have to define those 3 when I create the algo. This way, if I would say chapter is, I'm just making it up, we'll see how I did it. Chapter 1, I can call it chapter 1. Where is the path? I can say the path is blah, 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 you know, static slash chapter 2, I'm just making it up, blah, 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 slash whatever. What is the target field? What is the column in the data you're going to use in the analytics later on? For now, it doesn't make any sense to you. But just remember there's those 3, and I will write, let's say, revenue. Let's say revenue. Let's say I want to forecast the revenue. Okay, this is an object algo with a small a. It already is the object. I created one. By the way, I can create 2. I can make algo, and I can make algo 2 with a small algo. This is 1 and this is 2. This could be chapter 2. And I want to put this up there. This will be in chapter 1, and the other one will be in chapter 2. I'm really creating like the animal. Remember when we played with the animal? I created a dog, I created a cat. The same thing's here. Algo 1 is like the cat, okay? And this one is the dog. And later on we did inheritance. But the beginning, it's like the animal. This is what I need. This is the meaning of the constructor here, okay? And let me throw it away because this is garbage. I just made a mess here. Just to explain what the meaning again of the constructor. So it's expecting to have 3 variables. One way is to create, but the second way, when I go to chapter 1, look at the chapter 1, I inherit from algo.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
So on the constructor of the algo.
Yeah, this is it.
So yeah, you have defined the three
parameters.
Three parameters, but with what if you have a, instead of chapter ID, let's say you have a database on your, you want to analyze.
Okay, this is the way I designed it. You can change it if you want, but in a second you see why I did it. By the way you build up a machine like that, like a complex things, over time you see how the chapters goes, what projects are, and then eventually is evolution. And see what I did. The reason I put a chapter ID here, when I go to chapter 1, I'm going to use this for chapter 1. So see the beautiful part. I am going superior. I didn't teach you in the first course, but superior, it means go and create the algo first. And see when he's going to call the init of the algo. The superior is referring to the algo. And the algo has a function init. You see that? This is the function init. It's when I'm creating chapter 1, it's a new object based on algo. And here I'm being smart. I'm generating a new constructor for algo 1. And the new constructor for algo 1 doesn't require anything. And I'm doing it inside because I already know this is going to be for algo 1. And I'm calling algo, I'm telling him, use for chapter ID this title, chapter 1 fundamental.
Fundamentals.
So this is really feeding the algo. And I'm done. In the constructor for algo 1, I don't need to do it anymore. So when I go into the introductions to machine learning, and I go to the view, and let's say here in algo 2, so I'm creating this line. This line goes to algo 2. Algo 2 is really right here. And see what it does. It does the same thing. It's got to Superior. It tells him the chapter ID now, it's for chapter 2. So call it this one. So I don't have to do it here. Here in the view, I don't have to do it. It's done automatically for me because I call chapter algo 2, not algo 1. If I go to algo 1, when I do this line, algo 1, he knows it's like coming from here. And the algo 1 is automatically putting chapter ID to be this one. This is beautiful. So after I do it once, I don't have to worry about it. I just call algo 1, algo 2, and he automatically make it chapter 1, chapter 2, because I put it inside the constructor of algo 1, who calls the constructor of algo. So this is a nice design, and each chapter will feed the right parameters. So for chapter 1, I'm feeding this one. Here I'm saying the data path, I'm going to use life set. We will see in a minute why. Okay, we're going to use it. And target field, okay, I'm saying none because I don't really have any target as of now. So when you create it, don't put anything there. So he's going to call the algo, and he's feeding all those parameters automatically from algo 1. Same things we do algo 2. Let's look at algo 2. Algo 2 is doing the same things. Is giving a title to chapter. It's chapter 2, and I gave it even a name. I can do whatever I want, call it any way I want. And then I tell him the data is housing. That's what I wanted to use. And the target, by the way, it is important, median house value. We'll get to that. But the beautiful structure is I'm building algo 1, algo 2, algo 3 by inheriting from algo and initiating already what the algo require. Algo require 3 parameters in its constructor. And who is doing the work? It's when I'm building the algo 1, I'm automatically filling up those 3 parameters. When I do algo 2, I'm filling all those 3 parameters. I go to chapter 3, they are different. That's why algo 3 is different than algo 2, etc., etc. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
So that's the first part. It's a little confusing, but it's beautiful. By the way, when we run, see algo, when algo is creating, is running and is writing in constructor parent. Look at that. Let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Let me go to, let me start all over. Control C. Start it. So you see the beauty of it. It really is beautiful. I'm going to open it. Let me close this one so you can see. I got to introductions to machine learning, and I'm clicking chapter 1. Okay, I'm clicking on get data, plot it. Okay, plot it. Okay, I got this plot. How that happen? What the process? First of all, when I go here, it's really the one in charge is the div. It's the views. So let's go and look at chapter 1 and see this is really what works. In chapter 1, I get into the plotting of this image, but how does it work? Stage number 1 is creating this one. But hold a second, let's look at I printed everything for you guys for convenient. Let me explain what I mean. I'm getting to this part, it says inside the chapter 1 function. Let's see if that's what it's printing. Let's go up, up, and go slowly. We're not rushing anywhere. Oh my God, there's so much. There we go. After pivot. See how much work he did. Let me see if I can find why. Here we go. In preparing country states, let's go up, up, up. GDP, up, up, up. I want to find the beginning. Here we go. In constructor parents. Okay, here's the way we started. Then we did, it says in constructor parent. In constructor parents, inside the chapter 1 function. Hey, wow, is that looks familiar? Look at that. Inside the chapter 1 function, you see that?
Yes.
This is really the beginning. That's where it starts. Then what does it do? It really get to here, and then it said inside the page. Hey, you see it typed here inside the page. Is that right? This is very good for you also to study the code and study the material. Okay, and then what happened? I'm creating algo 1. That's what the game started. And what happened? And it says in constructor. Where is this one came from? Pay attention, it says in constructor parents, some lines, and then it says in constructor. Let's see, find it out. It has to be or in algo or in algo 1. So let's go to algo 1 first. By the way, you see, this is the dashes, 50 dashes. You see that?
In constructor.
That's pretty cool. But before those ones, by the way, is calling the parents, which is algo. So
Yes.
what is before in constructor comes here, but there is something before that.
Yes.
And why this one before? Because this command is before.
Line.
This one goes to the algo. So let's go to the algo. And what do we see in the algo? Here is so beautiful. I have a dashes. This is it. Then it says in constructor parents. It's printing this one. Is that right? Then it put another 50 dashes.
Yes.
Okay.
Dashes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So, and then it does a lot of stuff. It does all of that, by the way. It finishes and it continue. Because this is only this line making all the stuff here. It's calling the init function. So it's doing all of that. It comes back and it put this 50. So this 50 really, it's the second line here.
Yes.
Let's do it a little differently. How about we make this one 100? So you can 100, so you up, sorry, Control Z. Let me make it 100. So you will see that it will put a, let me do 200 around it. I put another one so you can really appreciate the structure. Let me start all over. This is beautiful. And I really recommend you do the same things at home. I'm going to refresh. And I'm going to go to chapter, I am in chapter 1. I'm going to do get plot JDP. And the whole process already have done again. I would have to do all the way up. There's a lot of it. Let me do that one faster. By the way, here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go. So now let's look again. But you see, this is only 50 lines, 50 dashes. I intentionally put this as 100. So you know you got here. You really are here now in the code. Before that, it says in constructor.
Yes.
These two, you see those two? I put it surrounded by 100 dashes. This one in the parents constructor. This one happened because I called it from here. I called it from here. It goes to here. It does all the stuff that it does inside the function, but it puts only 50, you see? And it put this one in the middle. So this is a beautiful way you can see the structure. And then it does all the stuff, By the way, this is only definition, so he's not really doing, this one is this is all definition, so he's not really doing anything, so almost just defining variables. And when he finishes, he goes back to whoever called him. So he's going back here and continue here. That's why I put the 100 here. And right under that, it says OECD. You see that? And here becomes to be very interesting. Now, the algo one is using some stuff that was defined in Panda, is reading a file, is reading this file, by the way. Okay, where is this file sitting? Hey, that already was defined here. So let's look at it. What is to date to data path? It was defined here. So let's go and look at that here. To data path. Where is to data path? Let's look at it. Let's go down, down, down. To data path. It's defined right here. It did already a lot of work for me. So nicely. Why? When I put in here the chapter fundamentals, this constructor went to here. It took the chapter 1 and look at that. It put it, chapter 1, it put it here. So I have it defined now internally. Moreover, using this one inside a link to make a whole path to where the data are going to be sitting. So to data path, it's useful now from now on. When I want to put data or I want to tag them, I'm going to tag them from here. And where does it, this one takes me? So let me do it again. Let's print it. This is good. Do it yourself, you know, and learn it by heart almost. This is beautiful. Let me print what this one means.
Okay.
Because all the data are going to be there. So he did it very nicely. He took the projects root directory. What is projects root directory? By the way, I took it from the setting. Hey, what is the setting? Remind you, if you go to the, we have a setting, this is against Sergey. That's why you use Django and you don't use Anaconda. You can't do it on Anaconda.
Okay.
So you go to the setting and bingo. Let's look what it does. It goes to the setting. What is best directory is defined really right here. Best directory, you see that?
Yes.
And it took it here. It really is the machine learning. Okay, what is machine learning? Here is machine learning. So he's taking machine learning from here. It's beautiful. And he's adding to it static. That means I need to look for a directory called static. You see that? And he's adding to it intro to machine learning. And then he's adding data. So I'm really getting the project's root. Let's print it too. And then you'll get convinced that this is really what it does. Print. Do it yourself too. That's a very good way to study. I'm going to take this variable and I want to print it. And you will see, this is really giving me this place, exactly right here. That's what the project's root. And then after that is, there is a function in OS. OS is a Python library. We brought it right from here. You see import OS. It's a library in Python, very useful. And I'm telling him, okay, if you don't have this directory, please create it. So make directories. I'm telling him if the directory doesn't exist yet, make it. So he is going to make sure I will have a directory right in this place, under the static, under the intro, under the data, is going to create a directory. That's the objective of this function. Okay, now I have, by the way, I make sure that the chapter 1, whatever I put in chapter 1 here, whatever I typed here, is going to get it as chapter 1. and I'm going to keep it. So I'm going to keep it for internal use. So chapter 1 is now becoming to be parameters inside the algo, which becomes to be also a parameter in algo 1. But pay attention, try to keep these, it's very important to be consistent. If you notice all the variable inside, I make them capital letters. All the other places I put them as a small letters. When you have a big project, you get lost. If you be consistent, you always remember you have to keep the internal variables to be a capital letters. So I kept chapter 1. By the way, now, 2 data path. Pay attention how nicely. I'm starting from the root directory, which is really right here. And then I said to him, go to data sets. This is the data set. And then go to chapter 1. Here is chapter 1. So all my tables, all my data going to be in this variable. And from now on, I can use it. Who did the work for me? Algo. I'm going to use it in Algo 1. When I want to use, I'm going to go to the data path. That means I'm already here. And all what I want is take this file. You see that? This file. So all what I have to do is a slash and put the file name. That becomes to be really elegant. Very elegant. Because by doing this line here, I already created the nice structure to make sure I have all the way here. For me now, chapter 1 fundamental, this directory, it is really to data path. This is it. I want to get data from there. All what I have to do is just put that one and add which table which Excel file I want to use. And this Panda function knows how to read CSV. By the way, let's open it. Open this file. Let's look at it. This is the file. It has a lot of data of location, country, indicator, measure, inequality. There's a lot of parameters. We'll look at them later on, okay? And there's all those variables, flags, period reference, power code. Not all of that we're going to use, okay? But I have the data of this one. This is one table. By the way, there's another one that I'm calling, and that's the other one, the GDP per capita. This is the other one, GDP per capita. I'm getting data. You see the country name, subject. Here is gross domestic product per capita. Then it gives me the units, currency, current prices in US dollars, blah, blah, blah units, etc., etc. So we will read those data eventually and work with it. But the beautiful is to notice that I build up the algo so I don't really have to repeat on finding those two tables. This becomes to be easy. All what I have to do is self to data path and put the name of the file. It automatically will get those two. So this OECD BLI, it is a Panda table because I read it. I read the Excel, and Panda is smart enough to make me a nice Panda table. That's why I printed here, by the way. When I'm printing, you saw there a table. In fact, this is this table, by the way. I didn't have to open the file. I printed, after I read it, I printed it, okay? After that, I read another file, and I printed it. You see? GDP per capita, I put some lines before that. Say I put a quotation, a equal. That's why I got an equal signs here of 50. I wrote the name GDP per capita, and then I printed it. In fact, I'm printing a Panda table, and Hanoch will go over that with you. But this is special function that knows how to read a Excel file. So I'm reading really two Excel files. I made it so smart that I know those two, I put them here. And then after I read them, I printed them. And then I didn't want, it was too much work. I wanted to put it separately. And see what I did. Here I'm transferring to this function. By the way, self means this is a function that belongs to this same object. I'm transferring those two tables. And this function does the work. Does a lot of things, and we'll go over it in a minute, okay? But the key point is really the interactions with the algo object. The algo objects make my life easy. It defines the path. And now I use Panda function to read Excel file. Algo makes sure that the files are in the right places and know how to access them. That's the beautiful. This line did the work. It was Algo, prepare all the stuff I need. I'm telling you the chapter ID is this one. I'm telling you to data pair I want it to be that, and that's later on. I'm not specifying it for now, but the most important, take the chapter ID, make for me, define for me the project's root directory, define for me also the data path. It does it for me. And now I can use it from within the algo one itself. And that's very easy. So I got two tables in Panda, and I'm going to process them. That's what we'll do next, okay? Well, I did it so for convenient, you really didn't have to. You could have continued the function here, but I like to be organized. I know that this was data reading. I just got the data that I'm going to use in this chapter. I'm going to process it. So I rather to make it in a special function, in a different function. I could have put it here, but I usually like to be organized. So I usually like to put it in a separate function. Okay? So let's see what this function does. And we will talk about it in the other sessions. All what it does, it takes two tables, add them together. We'll see that next time. By the way, I'm printing it here again. And I'm combining them. In fact, I'm just making sure it's only when the inequality is total. We'll talk about it next time. I shrink the data here. And after I shrink, this is condition. You will talk with Hanoch, he will teach you condition. And after I did some condition, I printed that so you can see it. And then I use a pivot, which is very, very hard function. This is a beautiful function. I teach it deeper in a course in business intelligence. Pivot is extremely important function. I will talk about it a little bit next time. And after I do a pivot, this becomes to be totally different file. I combine them in another, I change the names, then I set the index, and I do a merge. A merge is really combining two tables together. I get a new table. This is my data going to be. I take this one, I print it, and then I do some sorting, and then I print it so you can see it again. Then I remove some indexes. Those are intentionally done. So we talk about missing data. Okay, we'll get to that. Don't worry. It looks like, wow, my God, I'm doing so much. But don't worry, we'll do the whole things again. I'm doing missing data. I'm deleting some data intentionally because one of the things we want to learn in the first chapter, how do we deal with missing data or talk about it at least. Then I move on. This becomes to be my data. And by the way, you see double quotation to remind you, I'm trying to keep that will be 2-dimension, blah, 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 all of that eventually, the bottom line. What this function does, it's returning it's returning 1, 2, and 3 tables. We'll go over that next time, okay? Don't get scared. By the way, if you look at that, this function does all the work. After I finish that, I really don't care. By the way, in real life, you can give this function to someone else to write, and then when you're finished, let me know. And then you continue doing the algorithm. This is called data preparation, okay? So by the way, you see this function returning 3 tables. By the end, now what the beauty? The beauty here when I'm in chapter 1, when I'm in the view, by running this simple command, it's already creating 3 data sets that I'm going to use for chapter 1. That's beautiful. This is a nice design. This is a professional design of data preparation. That's one part we will see in chapter 2. We'll go over the whole process. And so don't worry, it's a lot for one day. Honestly, it's a lot. But step by step, it will be familiar to you. And we do it in chapter 2 the same, in chapter 3 the same. Then I will give you a project, you do it again. It will be very clear. But the beauty here, see how such a small, very one line, which is so simple, algo equal algo 1, parentheses, that's so much work, is going to chapter 1, because there I define algo 1. He's inheriting from algo, which does the definition of the constructor for now, okay? Is doing the whole things going up to where my data is, okay? And then after he's defining, I'm getting back to my algo 1 and continue. And then I'm reading data, then showing it, then I'm calling another function, preparing all the data. The end line is I'm getting 3 databases. That's the bottom line by one line of writing algo equal algo 1. That's beautiful. If you look at chapter 2, very similar. I won't go over the whole thing. This one does very similar work. It's preparing the data for chapter 2. So if I go and look at chapter 2, here is calling the same things, is creating the path, and here it's so beautiful. It's really creating, calling me, telling me, go and get the house file. Okay, I'm getting the path, and here is so beautiful. We'll learn that too. I will go over that again. If it doesn't find this file, is going to the internet, downloading this file as a zip, and there is another function that takes the zip, open it up, make it as an Excel file, and read that file. And by doing it, by the way, this function make the data. We'll go over that next time, but the beautiful, what we did today, we understand why we need the algo. We learn very basic stuff that it does, mostly the definition of everything. And then each chapter modify the data preparation, and then we're ready to go. Then we can start talking about algorithm. This is data preparation. Let me run it again, just to show you. It's very important to show you so you can see the definition. Let me run it again. I'm going to plot it again. Let's see the sequence again. Do it for yourself, by the way, in your, let me go again, all the way up. I intentionally did a lot of printing for you. Okay, here's the beginning. We already have done that, but look, this is beautiful. See, I did the printout. So let's look at it. That becomes to be inside the algo. Okay, we have in constructor parents. We went down, down, down. We created the project root. It takes it from the setting and it adding static intro data exactly as I said. See that? It's sitting on my hard disk. It's exactly this place. Later on, I added to it, I made sure that if it doesn't exist, it will create it. And in addition, I told him, okay, I kept the variable chapter 1. I added to it data sets, which is right there. I added chapter 1, which is really this. And this is exactly when I'm printing this one, this is really right here. From now on, I don't really care. He's going to do the work. I know that I know where is my data. My data for chapter 1 is right there. It's well-defined inside the algo, which means it's well-defined in algo 1. Every time I need the data for my chapter, I'm going to use to data path. If I want this file, I will just add it to the path. If I want this file, I will add it to the path. And then I can use Panda to read the data. That's beautiful. By the way, after I'm reading it, by the way, I'm printing. You can see I printed this table. This is what we did here. Then we read the other one. We printed the second one. And that will go over next time. And then I call this special function. I'll go over this function next time. This is easy. This is just a very simple function of Panda. I don't really care how it works. The only things I know, I'm just putting the name of the file I want him to read, is reading it and making a data frame for me. What is a data frame? You will learn with Hanoch. And it tells me also, if you have thousands, make a comma. So it will have a separator, which will be really nice, okay? And the limiter, it means it's what defining between columns is a tab. You could have a semicolon, but here, those Excel files have a tab as a defining. Then encoding is Latin. These are just giving it to you. This is usually, you know, it's Latin, it means it's not French, okay? It is really including French, sorry. So you can identify letters in the Excel, and if there is no value, if you see NA, that means a missing values. But this is more detailed. That's less crucial. The most important is understanding I'm getting 2 data frame, and they're both going to another function. From those 2, I'm manipulating the data, and I'm getting 3 data sets. That one will go next time, okay? I hope this is clear, okay? I really hope this is clear. Play with it. It can't get wrong. By the way, I think if you run it, you will get an error. Let's see who will fix it. I fixed it on my machine. You should get an error. I'm not remember if I fixed it or not, but if you do get an error, I expect you, based on your knowledge in the software engineering for machine learning, to be able to fix it. I did fix it on my machine. By the way, this is not really errors. What happened is I upgraded the Python we're using. So in the new Python, there's some command we have to fix them, and we will fix them. We'll go over that next time. Okay? Question, guys? Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure. You want me to share the screen again?
Yeah. Look, I saw where you put the place you put algo equal algo, no, algo 1 equal algo with parentheses.
I put it in the view.
Yeah, this from this algo equal algo 2 in parentheses. What start from where? What comment start? What?
The choice of the man. Very good. In fact, how did I get to here? You know, hey, Amos, you told me when you clicked here. It's a good question. We'll talk about it more next time. I didn't want it to go back to the software engineering. I wanted to move on, but we will go. When I choose this one, pay attention. This is HTML. Is that right?
Yeah.
When I clicked on the first one, it has a process. Pay attention here. It says chapter 1. You see that?
Yes.
It says intro. You see that?
Yes.
Oh, this one we studied last semester. What does it really mean? So we'll do it more. We'll go over it again next time. okay? Very important question. The first place it goes is to the URLs. Since I wrote intro on the top, it's going to go here. That first intro, by the way, how did I get to that intro? Hey, let's go back. Okay, let's take the whole things out. Just to remind you. This is the main page. Is that right? I click on Intro to Machine Learning, it automatically added. That's what we learned in the previous semester. I clicked on chapter 1. It took me also to chapter 1, meaning it's from the beginning, it looks for the intro, then it took me to this file. Hey, what is this file? I have to go to Machine Learning, Applications, I have Apps, correct? And I have to go to the intro, here we go, and go and look for this file URLs. Okay, I went there, double click. Hey, there's a lot of them. I need to go to chapter 1 because that's really what it says here, correct? I get to chapter 1. So you see why it's so important, the software engineering. The question is wonderful. Then it takes me to this function. Let do Control B. Hey, where is it taking me? To the views. Fair enough? And from the views is returning this page. Is returning, in fact, this page. Okay, what is this page? Let's go and look at it. I go to the template. I go into here. And you see we have chapter 1 HTML. Let's double click. This page, really, this one, okay, it's really this page. Now when I click here, this really a drop down is defined inside here. See, this is the, if you see, this is the select, which is the drop down. See that? And when I choose the first one, which says, by the way, it says here, can you see plot JDP? Whatever it says here, it really is nothing but what I see here on the title here. It's the same title. You see that, Rahman? When I click on it, something happened. And that's so beautiful. This is really software engineering. That's why software engineering is so important. When I did that, it looks like there is nothing here. Where is the function? I don't see the function. You see that? It looks like, which I don't see any function that tells me, go and do it. And this is the beautiful design. If you look at the best intro, okay, this page is inheriting from this one. So I really should go to the best intro. Here we go. Double click. And here is the game start. This is the beauty. If you go down, you see a lot of functions. You see that? Raman?
Yeah.
Those are JavaScript. This one we didn't study in our course. We did very little, but this is more advanced topic. This is really certificate 2 in software engineering. But just to tell you, you don't really have to know that for machine learning. I did it for you. Somebody else can do it for you, or you can take the course and then you can do it yourself, okay? And see the beauty. It's building up. If you go to here and you see there's all those elements, okay? And when I click on it, it's pumping up. It's going to pump up, and it's going to pump up to the basic intro. And when it's popping up, it's going to go to a show content function. How do I know that? Because when I defined this A, hold a second. No, this is the options. Show content, hold a second. This one, and we have select. Here we go. We have the select show content. this is really tells me, go to the select part and look if you have a show content class. So if I go to here, here's the select, and I have show content class. So this is automatically attaching a function to this one. So this function, in another word, is attached to this drop down. So if you change from one to another, this function is being activated. And what this function does, it's beautiful. It goes behind the scene, use really what it called Ajax. That's another topic in certificate too. And it goes to the URLs of intro show content, meaning it's going behind the screen and is going to a function called show content. Okay, so let's find it. It goes to here and show content. You see anything called show content here?
Yes.
Yeah, here it is. So let's do Control B, we'll find it. It goes to the show content. And here it becomes to be the beauty part. Is getting a variable called a chapter. Now, here's the beauty. If you look here, it has something called value, has a page, and has a chapter. It takes really this one. If it says the chapter is 1, it takes that into, if you find the chapter, it looks also the page, it has a page, but it checks if the chapter is 1, is going to call this function and referring the page. Okay, I'm going down. I didn't want to do it today, but since you asked. So pay attention. If found it's chapter 1, is going to go to chapter 1, referring the page. Okay, in a minute we'll see what is the page. So I'm going to chapter 1, and I get the page, and now I'm checking what is the page. Okay, let's go back to here. See, I also I have a page here. So if this is the page, meaning what I really want him to do, I really want him to do this part. You got it? And what is this part? That's exactly what I was showing you. I was showing you that it created the algo and it did the title. By the way, this one I didn't show you. We kind of stopped here. But the truth of the matter, the algo created the data. Remember, the algo made 3 data sets. I used one of them, and I'm plotting it. After I plotted it, okay, I use figure ID, and there is an algo we learn, there's another function that can get or create a picture. After it create a picture, I'm sending it, this one you do know, I'm calling this template and transferring all those variables, the chapter ID, everything. Let's look at this one, show plot. Okay, let's see what is this show plot is. So we're going to here we go. Double click on it, and such a small one, it does so much work. This is beautiful, but again, this is really more software engineering. I take the basic static, I take all this stuff, and I get the image. This one is really creating an image. If you go here, we'll go over that during the course. I won't go over deep how did we do it, but it's very important. If you go into here, intros, you have data, you have database, but you have also images. And images is for every chapter. It's smart enough to organize them. So let's go inside. You see those pictures? If I double click here, this is one look familiar to you, doesn't it? I showed it to you before. He created it there. Let's look at the other one that we just printed now. This looks familiar, isn't it? This is exactly what you see here. That's pretty cool. But this is really more software engineering, not the machine learning. The machine learning is really data processing, and then we learn like when we do regression or what the meaning of overfitting or all those stuff, okay? Like getting this one. You see this picture, I didn't have it before, we will learn it. Okay, we will learn how we do it. And by the way, you see, added another picture right here in the right place. It wasn't there before. If I open it, this is exactly what you saw on the screen. This is beautiful. This is really, I did all the software engineering for you guys. Whoever want to study that, more than welcome to join our software engineering #2. If you really want to dive, but you really don't have for this course. I did all the work for you by building up this algo. This algo is the smart guy that know how to do it automatically for you. You just have to focus on the machine learning stuff. And in here, we will learn in the views. The view is going to be very important. This is what you need to learn, okay? How it does it behind the scene, I do recommend, of course I recommend, that's why I myself studied it so heavily. And eventually it's combining machine learning into software engineering. But Draman, this is a good question. I intentionally try to avoid it. As you can tell, that's required a lot of work. Is that right, Draman?
Yeah.
That's right.
So by the way, guys, thank you for the question, by the way. I tried to run away. You noticed, Draman. And I talked the whole evening, I didn't even mention the whole process. Intentionally, I wanted to, we will go over that over and over, so you will learn at least that structure. And whoever wants to do certificate 2 in machine learning, in software engineering, honestly, Draman, I think those two go parallel. And people, in my opinion, whoever get those 2 diplomas and then add to that business intelligence is a real data scientist. You know, then we issue a diploma of data scientist. But you know, you can't really learn everything in one day. I'm spending 25 or 30 years now on this field. But step by step, okay, never give up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Do it again and again and again. Eventually, you'll be creative. Honestly, I created the whole thing. So you won't find it in any book. These objects you won't find in any book. This is pure Academy City style. And honestly, it's in a level of, no, I didn't show you that one, sorry. I mean, everything that I showed today, it is really Academy style, and the Academy style is a level of University of Chicago or Harvard University, MIT, this is the level. And hopefully, I really believe that you can do it, honestly. It's this, the secret is keep doing, don't give up, never give up.
Okay.
That's the motto of Academy City, never give up. Draman and me know each other for, well, we're getting close to 10 years now, I think, Draman. 7, 8 or more. We never give up, right, Draman?
Yeah.
You know, and eventually I think we're gonna make a change in Africa. Draman is taking the lead in West Africa. I have someone else in East Africa, in Uganda. By the way, Draman, we got students from different cities now, from Lira for certificate 1, software engineering. We have 4 students from Lira. It's 4 hours north of Kampala. So the word is spreading, which is really nice. It's really, really nice. So I hope it will happen the same things in Ivory Coast, and from Ivory Coast we go to other countries. And knowing you, Draman, you're a very organized person. You can handle it, no question. And you guys, excellent student. Just keep studying. I know you're so tired, my God, you want to go to sleep, I know that. Don't forget, I'm 2 hours ahead of you. So here it's 1:40. So you have, I think you have 11:40, is that right?
11:40.
And I am 1:40. So that's okay. I'm younger than you. Keep
Tout le
going.
monde est là? Kasi.
By the way, I told Sergey it's my birthday today.
Yeah.
So
Kasi.
have a good one, guys. Draman, please let me know when I want to add another session with Hanoch. So he will go over Panda. So let me know
Tuesday.
before next Thursday, of course. Okay, unless you want. Thursday is a good day. I hope so. If not, let me know.
I think Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Okay, just make sure, reconfirm, send me a WhatsApp or whatever, email, just reconfirm, but I'm writing down Tuesday, but reconfirm with me, okay? And I will let
Okay.
Hanoch to know that. Thank you guys, have a good weekend.
Angwa.
How do you
Okay,
say
thank
it?
you. Thank you.
Say it again.
No, I'm trying to call all of them. Yeka?
No, I want to hear, how do you say goodbye in French?
Yes.
In French.
Au
Au
revoir.
revoir.
Le
À bientôt.
voir,
Au revoir.
le voir. Thank you.
Au revoir. Au
Au
revoir.
revoir.